What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MMA Show. Thank you so much for tuning. Make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and sorry for the temporary kind of living room set here. I am in my living room. I just moved and I just haven't had time to set up. You know, the room is literally right here, but I just haven't had time to set it up and do everything nice, and it still has a bunch of stuff in it, boxes from moving, so I'll get that set up soon. It'll look nice. That will be a more permanent studio. I moved also about a year ago, and kept changing rooms, changing studio, so it's been tough having an actual recording thing. I used to do it from my desk in my older apartment, but now here I think I have the whole room to myself, so I'm gonna dedicate that to have a permanent set, so it looks really nice. But yeah, that is going to come in the next few weeks, so make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and yep, let's get started. So I wanted to talk to you real quick about UFC 300, and no, I'm not going to give you my breakdown yet, my predictions yet. That's still I usually do that fight week, so that's going to happen, the fight week of 300, I'm going to give you my predictions and who's fighting. But I just want to talk about the state of the card because, historically, the 100 number UFCs, they've all been really, really fucking, I don't know, for lack of a better word, stacked. Stacked. And 300, don't get me wrong, it's stacked, but we yet don't have a main event, right? And part of me wants to think that UFC 300 main event is Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. That has to be it, right? And that was my prediction from before the New Year's, but then the New Year's, Conor did his announcement that he was going to fight in International Fight Week, right? Dana then came out and said that's not true and that they don't have anything booked yet. Or no, he didn't say they didn't have anything booked, but they just said like, hey, when Conor announces the fight, you will know from me, from the UFC. And it's just been a fucking nightmare, for lack of a better word, recently. You had a recent thing with Dustin Poirier that his fight was announced, but he didn't know, and, he made a post about it. And I don't know, it's just kind of weird the way the UFC do this, and the way the UFC kind of set this up for the fighters is, I don't know. I feel like they screwed themselves really from UFC 300. I feel like a lot of the stars, famous stars, far recently, well, John Jones is injured. That would have been a great 300 fight. Izzy is taking a break. That's their biggest star. You know what I mean? Fucking Strickland just got defeated by Duplessis, and I don't think Duplessis would be ready for 300. Versus who though? Versus AZ, versus Khamzat, versus Alex Pereira. Like, I don't think none of those fights are gonna happen. The only one that would make sense is that both guys are ready. It's Conor versus Michael Chandler. Like, that's the only one that makes sense, right? Like, everyone else is either booked or they just fought not too long ago, right? Talk about bigger stars too. You have Sean O'Malley booked already for UFC 290. What is it, 8 or 7? 299. Sorry. So he's booked. Dustin Poirier is booked on that one. Like, big names already booked. 99, by the way, is fucking stacked. 99 and 98 are absolutely stacked, bro. And I could talk a little bit about them too, but like, fuck. 300 is just not that stacked and still don't have a main event, right? So right now I'm on the page of the UFC page. It says UFC 300 TBD, to be determined. You have Zhang Weili versus Yang Xiaonan for the title, and that's the co-main. Now, another thing I noticed is that, yeah, I get it that you have to put the co-main you have to put a title shot as a co-main, right? Now, I think we're getting announced 2 more fights. We should have at least 3 title fights, right? If I'm not mistaken. Does that sound about right? Is that a stretch? I just feel like 2 title fights or 1 title fight will not be enough, because you have 1 title fight and then you have, if the main event is Chandler versus Conor, there is no title there unless they make up something, you know what I mean? But there is no official title there. Now you have Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, Jiri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakiv, Calvin Kattar versus Aljo, Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage, Deizel Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Now, the thing that surprises me the most about, and looking back at previews like UFC 100, UFC 200, you had huge names that are usually the main event or the co-main event now at a lower, right? Even some of the prelims. So that, to me, it's crazy. I'm not saying they should change anything. I mean, I understand that you can only have so many big names. You know, obviously, main and co-main, it's only 4 people, right? So if you put 10 stars, 10 superstars in a card, obviously some of them are going to have to be a little bit lower. It doesn't tell me here which was the prelims, though. And they don't have the card fully built yet. But so far so good, man. Oh, and they also added, Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison just signed with the UFC. And, you know, it should be an interesting fight. Now, Kayla Harrison is not a young prospect, but if you've noticed all year, and obviously also kind of like second half of last year, a lot of the UFC fights have been old dogs closer to retire versus a newer, up-and-coming or new-signed fighter, right? This is the case with this too. And like I said, Kayla Harrison is not young. She's been fighting for a hot second, but she's new to the UFC and she's up-and-coming. And Holly Holm is a veteran, Hall of Famer, a former champ. So you saw it with Dustin Poirier, right? Fuck, you're seeing it everywhere else, bro. You have this fucking young contenders. It's been the theme for a while. It's been the theme. I saw a comment about it actually that it makes sense, bro. It's been young contenders versus old dogs. Every single day. Look at Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson. Same thing. And then I'm blanking right now of a lot of fights that were before, but that's how a lot of fights have been. But sorry, the point that I was wanting to make is that we don't have a UFC main event, UFC 300 main event. The main event should 100% be Conor versus Michael Chandler. If that is not the main event for UFC 300, I will be sad. It just makes no sense. How could you put any other fighter in there that's not Conor? And we already got confirmed that Conor is not fighting in June like he announced, right? When he made the post. And it's just weird. It's just weird overall that the UFC makes posts, Conor's making posts, and they just can't seem to agree on something. Now, I would hate for the fight to maybe not happen at all, right? Because it's been now fucking, 3 years, bro, since Conor fought, maybe 2. And Chandler, God bless his soul, he's been waiting like a nice obeying puppy. He's been patiently waiting for that paycheck. In hindsight, now that I see it, now that we are here, early 2024, I think he made a huge fucking mistake. I think he took a huge chunk out of his already tenured career and he wasted it waiting for Conor. And I think that he probably can kiss goodbye any future title challenges. He probably won't fight for a title anymore. If he loses to Conor, I don't know, bro. Where do you go from there? He's ever since he started in the UFC, he's been a roller coaster. It's been wins, losses, wins, losses, wins, losses. So I feel bad for the guy. And, he lost against Poirier, and then he lost against Gaethje, then he lost against Poirier, right? So now he's in a spot where, all right, well, if you lose against Conor, what the fuck are you gonna do? Are you gonna go back and fight? I don't think so, bro. So the whole point of that is that, you know, Chandler, I think, fucked up. I think Chandler completely fucked up by waiting so long for Conor. And honestly, I hate to say it, but the fight might not even happen. The fight might not even happen, bro. So, you know, it is what it is. I just don't see who will headline UFC 300 if it's not Conor and Chandler.